Paula, you're very welcome. So the Republic of Work have a number of events that they run at lunchtime every month, and the idea is to help us upskill and grow within our business. So do be sure to check out their website where all of these recordings can be found, and they cover a variety of subjects including sales, marketing, accounting, and wellness. So we are certainly living in unprecedented and challenging times. And I think that we could all say that the word unprecedented has been used so often, it may even be the word of the year. I know myself that I have found myself lacking in energy and passion and enthusiasm for my work. And when that happens, I often refer to it as losing my mojo. So today, I'm delighted to be talking to you about how you can find your mojo, some tips and tools that we can put into place today from the 1st of December for the rest of the year, and build some mental strength as we start 2021. If anybody feels that they would like to turn on their video and join me, you're very, very welcome. But I do appreciate that it's lunchtime and we may be eating our lunch or have poor connections, and so there's no pressure. So I'm just going to share my screen here. And just in case anybody is on the wrong webinar, what we're going to be looking at today is how to build your mental strength and find your mojo for 2021. And now, like some of you, my working office was turned upside down in March when I had to change my spare bedroom into my office. And this has become my hub, and it still is. And after the initial shock of the first lockdown, my natural optimism kicked in, and I enjoyed those first few weeks. But being at home, and I definitely became aware of the benefits of being at home. But as we went into the second lockdown in October, my enthusiasm was certainly not the same. And I would just like to share you this quick video that really kind of summed up how I was feeling. Now, if you just bear with me, can you, so can anyone relate to that?
Defo.
Thank you. So a little bit about myself. Now, some of you may know me, but for those of you who don't, I was born in London and I lived there till I was 11, when I then grew up in Blarney. After graduating from UCC with a degree in HR, I spent the next 20 years working in US multinationals. An avid fan of lifetime learning, I went back to college in 2015 and did a master's with Henley Business School in the UK, and in coaching and behavioural change. And in 2017, I set up my own consultancy, concentrating on HR, on leadership development and HR. Just before I continue on, I should have said that we will be using our chat box. So if anybody wants to pass any comments or have any questions, please feel free to use the chat box. And Angie, who is my wonderful co-host here in the Republic of Work, will be monitoring the chat box, and she will keep an eye on that as well. This is a lunch and learn, and I do believe that we can all learn from each other. So as we're going through each of the different topics that I'm going to be talking about, I am going to pause and just ask if anyone has any comments that they would like to ask, if anybody has anything that they would like to share, just to get a bit of interaction. Of course, there's no pressure on anyone, but if there is anything that you'd like to say, I'd be delighted to hear from you. Likewise, any questions, as I pause after each point, please let me know, and if not, we'll take them at the end. So Just talking about the consultancy that I set up at the end of 2017, I've always been passionate in supporting leaders develop their leadership signature. And in the consultancy, we do this through self-awareness, emotional intelligence, and naming the fear that's holding them back. We concentrate in the consultancy on three main areas. One is working with organizations in developing their leaders and teams, in building resilience and delivering results. The second is providing HR consultancy to future-proof companies through change management and talent programs. And finally, supporting people and professionals who are at a crossroads in their career and looking to do something different and finding out what they really want in their life. As I mentioned, my career has always been in HR leadership, mainly in the US multinationals, and I've held such roles as an international HR director, leading a remote team and supporting leaders in Asia, Asia-Pac, and EMEA. So I think this has given me a keen understanding of the challenges facing leaders and teams in today's world, because it is certainly a very rapid, complex world, and I help them create success for themselves and the organizations they work in. So how we think about the end of this year will affect us how we welcome 2021. And in this presentation, as I mentioned, I want to give you some tools of how you can develop your mental strength. Certainly the year has seemed very busy, and I know that many of my clients have been feeling overwhelmed, anxious, and a general feeling of not knowing what to do next and for the best. And I love this slide because if you look at the time, I think it's 10 in the morning. And I have often sat at my desk and felt this overwhelming urge of a huge bucket of paperwork and work that I need to get done. And I feel, and after speaking to a lot of people recently, they are telling me that they are putting on a brave and happy face on things, but underneath they're also struggling and they're feeling despondent and finding it hard to motivate themselves. So how do you do that? And getting out of your way is not always easy. And as I mentioned, I really enjoyed the first couple of months of April and May, but the relentlessness of the days and the weeks went by with no face-to-face meetings and no fun of any sorts. I certainly found that my passion and energy was going, and there was a feeling of Groundhog Day was happening. A recent study that came out yesterday showed that a 1-hour meeting on Zoom can take the same amount of energy as a 2-hour face-to-face meeting. So when I think about that and I think about the 6 hours I spend on average a day on Zoom, it is no wonder that my eyes often hurt and I have headaches and I was exhausted. Unfortunately, when your mojo goes away, there is only one way that you can find it, and that is with yourself. And you've got to believe you're worth the effort and it's worth the energy and passion and enthusiasm to find that mojo when it goes walkabout. So here are a couple of things that I have done that helped me. Firstly, know your why and purpose. And this is a very personal reason of why you need to dig deep and stick with your stuff. And certainly when life is throwing you curveballs, understanding your why. When you think about your why, you're able to put it with your purpose. And that is an important part of the equation of how you find your passion. Start becoming aware and acknowledging all the small wins you have each day and how this is connected to your why and purpose. And sometimes it is the very small wins that start to build your energy back. For me, what I found very helpful was to decide at the very start of the day what was my one win that I wanted to have that day. And by doing that and then acknowledging when I did achieve it was what helped me get through my day. There is a reason why you've heard so many times, if you do what you've always done, you'll get what you've always got. And the reason you've heard it before is that it's true. As much as it is convenient to stay in our well-known parameters and think the same thoughts, doing the same things, repetition will not bring you new results. Sometimes finding your mojo is as simple as trying something new, getting outside of your comfort zone. I'm not the most comfortable and confident speaker, as you may be seeing there today. And so in June, I signed up for 2 talks. One was a Facebook Live and one was a webinar similar today. Taking these really outside my comfort zone pushed me to find some energy. Talking about subjects that I'm passionate about also gives me back my energy. So think about, what is the one thing you can do that will take you outside of your comfort zone? When we feel uncertain about the future, we often can fill the gaps with an automatic negative prediction, especially when we're feeling anxious. But if you can shift your thinking to start focusing on what could go right, it gives you a more balanced picture and can help you to notice when things are going right for you throughout the day. Sometimes, metaphorically, even looking up is the very best way to help you find your mojo, to dream about things that might be possible. And when I want to engage in this process, I find the art of creative visualization a great way to get real about manifesting what I want. When you've lost your mojo, it can be very hard to imagine ever finding it again. But I urge you to think back to a time when you felt on fire, when you felt positive and successful, when you felt happy and productive, when you felt fulfilled, and spend time thinking about what this felt like. Take yourself back to that moment, focusing on what you could see, what you could hear, and how you felt. Try to experience those emotions again and feel the smile spread across your face. Feel the energy and the fire in your belly. Feel the lightness across your head. Capture that feeling because it's real and you felt it before. And next, spend time each day trying to be mindful of that feeling. And by doing that, it will help you to recognize it when you feel it in the present time. Life, we only have one shot at this life. And I think it's always good to remind ourselves of this. And when I'm coaching professionals on their career change and what they want to do, one of the questions I ask them is, when you're in your 80s, rocking on your chair, what is it that you do not want to regret in your life? This is where you need to become honest with yourself and really start to think about, what do you want from your life? Another way to look at this is, what do you want your legacy to be? And once you have that thought of, and once you have that articulated, then you can start dreaming about it and putting your goals together on what that can be. If you're feeling a bit low, as some of us have been over the last couple of months, it can be tempting to brush things under the carpet, telling yourself that you need to get your act together, be positive and grateful for what you have been nagging about. But that nagging voice doesn't help you. It does not help open your mind to explore new ideas and options and to look up from sleepwalking through your life. So listen to that voice. How do you find it? Is it warm, encouraging, and supportive? And if not, why not? Start treating yourself with kindness, because this is a good opportunity to remind you that you are the only person that can help find your mojo, and you are so worth it. So it is so important that you spend time listening to your voice and listening to your mood, and this will give you some space to really find and accept what you are finding challenging about life at the moment. Some of my clients find it very helpful to write these things down, and they ask themselves questions like, how are you feeling? What are you missing? What do you need right now? What are you worried about? What are you finding you're challenging? And this is where you need to be really honest with yourself and think about, how are you listening to your voice? So if you remember nothing else about my presentation today, and if you remember nothing else about reclaiming your mojo, remember to be kind to yourself, because it is only through treating yourself with kindness that you can really open yourself to new experiences, hearing what you want, understanding what your legacy is, and learning to dream. So I'm just going to stop there, and I'm going to stop sharing, and I'm just going to ask, Has anyone any thoughts on any of that they would like to share? Did anything register with you that maybe you've tried throughout the last 6 months that you would like to share with the group? Now, there's no pressure. This presentation is my presentation, so you don't need to feel under pressure to speak. But I do think if we can learn from each other, it is great. So if anybody would like to share anything, you're very welcome.
Hi.
Hi.
Paul.
Hi, Paul.
How are you? Thanks very much, Susan. I suppose I think I'm kind of catching myself when I'm being hard on myself. I'm kind of. It took a while. Like I think the lockdown really, it's been good in lots of ways for me. Kind of just slowing down. I think has been very helpful, but when you slow down, stuff comes up. So definitely totes emotion, I suppose, there at times. But yeah, so yeah, I suppose being kinder to myself, and you have the list of things. If I don't get them all done, I suppose saying, look, okay, I got a few done. That kind of way.
Yeah.
I think these questions are really helpful. All right, to check in about. Right, how are you feeling? What am I worried about? What do I need right now? I think they're really good questions that could be written up on the wall somewhere, or just like get somebody to, it's, I think they're very helpful. Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, thank you, Paul. And I am actually going to cover that about capturing your thoughts. So thank you for that. And Lucy's mentioned in the chat that she writes down her wins and is mindful of every day of how much she's won for the day. And I think that is also extremely powerful because we actually forget how much we get through in one day. So now, bear with me now while I go back to sharing my screen again. Okay. Reflection. I'm reflecting on 2020. For most of us, self-reflection is the missing piece in our lives. We're very busy and it can sometimes seem like another thing to add to the to-do list. But it is so important to pause to celebrate, pause to reflect, pause to take inventory, and pause to see what you can learn. Self-reflection is a powerful pause, and I'm going to make, a powerful process. And I'm going to make some suggestions on how you can go down, how you can effectively reflect with the process of the aim of learning something new. Sorry, I lost my train of thought there. So, reflecting on 2020. As we look back over the last year, we want to review what went well, but we don't want to go down the well-worn path of ruminating. Ruminating involves rehashing the same things over and over again and dwelling on all the things that you wish were different. It is sometimes referred to as the silent mental health problem because its impact is very much underestimated. Ruminating does not serve us, and it has also been linked with increased risks of depression, anxiety, and other mental health issues. So stick to the facts. It may be a fact that you're falling short of your 2020 financial goal, but adding layers to that, such as you're a loser and you will never be able to retire, is not a fact. Reflection is about acknowledging what didn't go well, but in a factual manner, without passing judgment or drawing irrational conclusions. Dwelling on how you felt like being a loser for not finishing a project, getting a new job, or losing out on a tender is not helpful. And like Paul, we can all make a conscious effort to capture that and let go of unproductive thoughts. It is estimated that our thoughts are it is estimated that we have 60 to 80,000 thoughts a day, and that 80% of them are negative, while 95% of them are repetitive. So if you think about that and you do the maths, you will realize why it is not a good idea to think in a negative and a pessimistic way. Every time you have a thought or you become aware of it, catch it and challenge it. Is it really true? What's the evidence you have for this thought? And then start to think about what is the evidence that this thought is not true? Once you have a more realistic thought, how can you replace that thought with your negative belief? Before you start reflecting on your 2020, it is so important to create an environment for good thinking. This environment can help you generate fresh thinking and can help you best to hear answers to the questions you're asking. So think about an environment that you feel comfortable in and enjoy spending time in. Maybe it's your favorite coffee shop. Maybe it's in nature, at the beach, or a local park. To generate different thinking, it is sometimes good to go to somewhere where you would not normally go. For last year, I went to the Kingsley Hotel and had my lunch on my own overlooking the river, and I did my reflection there. I think it's also lovely to write down your reflection in something that gives you joy. So treat yourself to a notebook that is special to you and jot down your thoughts or draw images if you're very creative. But the key here is to be open-minded and allow your thinking to generate new thoughts. And then finally, start to ask yourself some basic questions that can create new thinking. So I'm going to share with you these questions, and at the end of the slide, you're more than welcome to take a screenshot of that or take a photo of it with your camera, and I'm sure we can share it as well if you want them. I've identified a number of questions here. I don't suggest that you ask yourself all of these questions, but think about 3 or 4 that really resonated with you, and maybe just start with them. So the first one, in what ways did you meet or exceed your expectations in 2020? What was the best decision you made, either about yourself, your business, or your job? What did you do, create, or experience this year that you are really proud of? With the benefit of hindsight, what would you do differently? And what can you learn from that? What was the greatest lesson you learned about yourself in 2020? What was the biggest risk you took in 2020? And I think there's a follow-up question to this, in that if you can't think of what your biggest risk was, why not? Thinking about going outside our comfort zone. And finally, what advice are you going to give yourself for 2021? So again, before I go on, I'm just going to stop sharing and ask, has anybody anything that they'd like to add to that? Have they a question that they ask themselves that they find very useful that I didn't cover there? And again, there's no pressure, but if anybody would like to join in, you're more than welcome.
This is Tess here, I suppose. You brought up one thing there, actually, to have your facts. And I was on, this is Tess, sorry, on a course recently, and I said the same thing. And I am guilty for this. Within my group of work, we have a lot of people who are on maternity leave, so workload has increased. And I'm just getting probably very negative. And instead of that, I just need to even spend 1 hour a week, even educating myself in a course or something, even Outlook, anything small, and just have facts there and just have something positive for myself. And I think what you're saying there is forget all this negative, and I'm going down that road. I can see it, and it's actually nice to hear other people are in that same boat where everything was fine. It was great working from home.
Mm-hmm.
You're there for the children, you're there for the school runs and everything, but you must put yourself first as well, because I can run around all day with kids and put them first, but I'm starting now to put myself first and maybe start going out for a walk, which I always did. I used to walk from home 1 day a week, and to be honest, I think if I went for 5 walks since March, that was it. And it's amazing how we put ourselves to the side, and now maybe it's a good time to start going back again. But just putting facts down, as you said there, writing things down, we're just going to the same ding dong every day. But if you just stop, and even on a half an hour a day, give something to yourself, it's well worth it. So you just need to hear it to do it.
You just need it. Yep, absolutely. Thanks for sharing that, Tess. Very insightful. So there's a couple of comments in the chat box that people have suggested. So the notebook is something that Orla likes, and others. So have a quick glance in that chat box there. So we're moving on now to looking at 2021. And hopefully, like Tess, you're starting to feel a bit more energized and excited. And we're going to set our intentions. So you may have noticed that I've changed the word from goals to intentions, and you might be wondering why. I believe strongly in goal setting, and it's a valuable practice that helps us get things done and is essential for completing tasks, whether it's developing a new business or even just cleaning out the kitchen. But while goals can motivate us, they can also produce a feeling that you currently have isn't enough. However, being intentional will allow us to focus on what we want in the moment and how we live each day, independent of whether we're winning or losing towards our goal. Focusing on intention does not mean we give up our goals and desire to achieve, but while we are building up our mojo and learning to treat ourselves with kindness, our intentions are how we live each day, independent of achieving the goal. By setting your intention and then coming up with your goal, you can create an action plan and learn to enjoy the journey as much as the destination. So for me, during our first lockdown in March, my intention was to try and get some form of exercise every day. And I needed a goal to do this. So I made the goal to run 5K in less than 30 minutes. Now, this might not be a massive achievement for any of you who are used to running and enjoy running, but I hated running when I was 4. So trying to take up running now in my mid-40s was an interesting concept. But I tracked out my plan of only going no more than 2 kilometers from my house, and I went every single day until I achieved my goal of running for 5 kilometers in less than 30 minutes. Now, some days I was faster than I was on other days, and some days I was very slow. But thinking about my intention and thinking about enjoying being outside and doing something for myself every day gave me the motivation and action to continue to do my goal. So now we have looked at a couple of areas. We've looked at some tips to help you find your mojo. We've looked at how you can use reflection with intent. And now we have looked at how you can set your goals for 2021. So finally, what we're going to look at is a couple of areas that you can do to help build your mental strength. No matter how mentally strong you are, there's always room for improvement. And sometimes it really does only take a few quick exercises for you to build up your mental muscle. If you're feeling, like I have felt over the last couple of months, that your optimism quota for the year has taken a nosedive, or maybe you feel that you were born with less optimism than other people, the good news is that you can learn this. A coaching practice known as positive psychology has studies which describe the science study of what this is that makes life worth living. Positive psychology has proven that you can learn the process that contribute to positivity and mental strength. But just like any muscle, the more you train your brain to be stronger, the better it will become. A little bit of science, neuroplasticity is the name given to our ability to rewire the brain's patterns of thoughts. And this is the reason how we can learn to develop mental strength. These newborn brain cells have the capacity to develop into mature functioning neurons, which can help us to learn new thoughts and patterns. the strengthening and integration of the neuron connections in the higher level brain region, which is known as the prefrontal cortex, are fundamental in the benefits of developing a wellness practice. And these connections are strengthened the more you think positively. The secret source of all of this is though that we can also recognize thought patterns that are unhelpful to us and develop new ways of looking at the situation. And if you remember, this is one of the tips that we looked at when finding our mojo. So the science is over now, and I'm going to just share with you 3 quick exercises that you can start working on today, the 1st of December, for the next 31 days, which will help you build up your mental strength before the year end. And the first one is the fastest, simplest, and costs nothing to develop mental strength, and it's known as practice gratitude. It is such a simple exercise, and I have been doing this very simply over the last number of years, which is at the end of the day, I think of 3 things that I am grateful for the day. Being thankful has a major impact on how you think, how you feel, and how you act. It's like a superpower that could change your life. I know some people enjoy writing and have started a gratitude diary, and they find this hugely beneficial. And again, they use it in a format that suits themselves on their creative sides, whether it's drawing or writing. And in 2011, a study found that people who spent 15 minutes a day writing in a gratitude diary not only slept better and longer, but also had a better quality of sleep. So for anyone on this call today who is struggling to sleep at night, maybe just start this practice this evening and see how your own sleep pattern can improve over the next 31 days. An easily overlooked life lesson is that the more you try to control things in your life, the less in control you will feel. And the second related lesson to this is that when you don't feel in control, you tend to focus on the negative. Letting go of the need to control everything allows you to gain a different perspective on your capabilities and the way you choose to respond to things. For me, during the last 5 weeks, I try not to think of what could have happened, but rather what is going on at the moment. For the last 10 years, I've gone on my summer holidays in November, and I've usually gone to the sunshine and somewhere in Asia. So at the start of November, I was thinking, how am I going to survive the long, dark, grey days of November without my annual dose of the sunshine? But I tried to think about what I could experience that I haven't experienced by being away. And what that was for me was looking at the changing colours of the leaves as I did my weekly walks in Ballincollig Regional Park. Noticing how nature was changing throughout the weeks gave me something that I didn't have other years when I was on my holidays. Likewise, how we feel in our bodies can also affect how we think. So if you're feeling physical good, we are more likely to have positive thoughts. And I think it's not a surprise that many people approach this lockdown looking at their alcohol intake and either cut back completely or certainly cut back. Being in nature and feeling good are 2 things that help me develop my mental strength. But I also like to do something just for myself, like what Tess mentioned earlier. And one of those things for me is having a bath every day. And I find that at the end of the day, that just relaxes me. If we start to think about what makes us feel good and savor that sensation, we are more likely to encode those feelings into our memory, creating positive events for us to recall later. And so the third mental strength comes from Mother Teresa, who once said, "We cannot do great things on earth. We can only do great things with love." And a definition of kindness is that it is a behavioral response of compassion and actions that are selfless, or a mindset that places compassion with others before our own interests. So there is a reason why there has been a global drive to perform random acts of kindness every day. And there's been huge studies as why this has been proven to be not only of benefit to ourselves, as well as to the person we're doing the kindness for. The University of British Columbia did a study on a group of highly anxious individuals in which they asked them to perform at least 6 acts of kindness a week. After only 1 month, there was a significant increase in their moods, their relationship, and a decrease in social avoidance. I think I said decrease there instead of increase, which hopefully you understood that. Research has also shown us that people who are more likely to have acts of kindness have 23% less cortisol, which is the stress hormone in their bodies. So just think about that. And I'm going to leave that one with you, of how you can start performing random acts of kindness every day for the month of December. So that is it. They are my thoughts on how you can develop your mental strength, of how you can gain your momentum, your mojo, and how you can reflect on 2020, learn from what went on for you, give yourself a message of how you want to approach 2021. And I am going to stop sharing now, and I look forward to answering any questions that anyone might have, or hearing from anyone who has any thoughts that they themselves would like to share with the group.
Hey, Susan, I was maybe just to say thank you so much, and just great to see everybody else on the call. I think it even helps just to know other people. We're all kind of in this together, and that sort of feeling is nice. Yeah. A couple of things I'm just thinking about lately. I feel like for me, I've had sort of an unidentified anxiety. I'm not entirely sure what I'm worried about, but it's something, and it's hard to kind of identify. It's just a general feeling of a little bit of unease. And I think the point is that we're not, all the distractions we used to have are no longer available to us. So we used to be able to run away from all of these feelings that we probably should be feeling. And now this year, we can't really do that. We can't hang out with friends or head off for the weekend or go out into the pubs or whatever we're doing. So we're kind of left with having to face the truths of some certain things. And I think it's probably good to try not to run from it too much and accept that as a little gift in its own right, and take the time, I suppose, to listen to how you're actually feeling, because otherwise what we may have ended up with if we didn't have this opportunity would be regret in the future, or these feelings might manifest as illness if you don't, learn to express them or whatever it is. So that's one thing. And the other thing is just for us, I'm in lockdown with my sister. We have a startup, so we work together, we live together. It's very small in the world at the moment. We're in Limerick, but every day we try to just have some moments of joy. So you can't be joyful all day, but you can find moments of joy. So we go and we have a coffee, and now because it's December, we now have Christmas coffees, which basically means we sit on a bench with the takeaway coffee, but we put on some Christmas music on our phone. And it's amazing how that makes a little difference. It's just a tiny thing. It's free. Somebody walked past us the last day and said, "Oh, don't some people have the life?" And I was thinking, if you have €3 and a phone with some music on it, you can find the same sort of couple of moments. You can do that. And it really makes a difference, having those little milestones. And get outside, guys, and do a little exercise. I'm lucky. I'm a qualified yoga teacher as well, so I know how to take care of myself physically. But I would say there's no comparison to a day when I can't get outside if the weather's particularly bad, or if I don't exercise. It makes a huge difference. So
yeah, thank you, Jackie. I think that's really important. And you said so many things there. One of them is that we have lost our ability. Well, what's the word? But we've lost our network of talking to people. And I think that's just huge. Certainly when we were in the offices, I often thought, you went off and you downloaded to someone there in the kitchen, and then you forgot about it, But now there's nobody in your kitchen at home to download. So it's coming around with you, and you're building it up and you're building it up. And that's why maybe just changing those thoughts, thinking about the gratitude, going outside, doing something small. I also go for the coffee. I'm going to take your advice there, and sit outside while I drink it. Yeah, that's a great idea.
Yeah.
Rather than coming back to my four walls in this office.
Sit outside, get a bit of fresh near some trees, ideally, and yeah,
it's
the four walls.
important.
I'm a bit tired of the four walls, so yeah.
Exactly. Especially on days like today, certainly here in Cork, it's a nice bright day. You know, we've no excuse. It's easy to wrap up.
Yeah.
Anybody else like to share anything? I'd love to hear. There's a few comments in the chat box, so thank you for them. And
I just wanted to hop in there. Hi, it's Barbara. Sorry about the no video, but I have a very
no problem, Barbara. You're very welcome.
Sorry about that. The random acts of kindness thought is one that had been circulating around in my mind for a while listening to this, because without sounding too much like a Pollyanna, when you're doing something for somebody else, you're not thinking about yourself.
Yeah.
So it helps to break that cycle of just constantly going over in your head about the stuff that's in your own way and what's troubling yourself. So even just, you know, taking like a something that you bake down to a neighbor that's a shut-in or something like that, and then just going home, it, you know, it breaks up the routine. It's doing something else, and you're not thinking so much about all the issues you have facing yourself. So that's just the little bit that I've been trying to practice a little bit to help break the cycle of the, you know, feeling like you're just on the same, circling back to the same thoughts all the time and not getting anywhere.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that, Barbara. And it's just about thinking about something else other than ourselves, and other than those 60 to 80,000 of negative thoughts we can have every day if we're not careful.
This is Tess again. I worked from home on a Friday before lockdown, and I'm now at home since March. And this brings me back to my childhood. For the first time last year, my son used to go out to the window every Tuesday when the bin men called, and the same bin men used to wave at him every day. And I kept saying, some Christmas now I'll give a card and give a tip. And it took until last year for me to go out, to spend the time and give him a card and give him a tip. Now, it wasn't the same bin man guy, by the way. He's about 6 years older. But this year I've noticed when I'm at home, the postman, how many times he's come to us with delivery from our packages for this. And even I gave him a tip last year and a little card, and he said, you'll be surprised. He said, the people that would give out to you moan. I have a neighbour who keeps giving out because he doesn't put the parcel in the right place or the letter into the letterbox. But that's a nice act of kindness. It's just seeing, from sitting inside every day, seeing what's going on, that we never knew what was going on when we were in our offices. So that's a nice little way of doing an act of kindness.
Yeah, absolutely, Tess. Thank you. I love that. So look, I'm just conscious of time. If anybody would like to connect with me, I'm on all the social media sites. I'd love to hear from anyone. If anyone is struggling and would like to just have a quick call with me, very happy to do that as well. And thank you so much to the Republic of Work and Angie for helping me get going today and supporting me and giving me this opportunity. And thank you to each and every one of you as well for your interaction. And it was lovely. As I said, this is outside my comfort zone. So I'm going to go and lie in the darkened room now for a little while and get myself over the pressure of this. But thank you so much for being so welcoming and lovely.